Okay, so now that you've logged in, assuming you already have a subscription, now what we want to do is we want to create our first site. So obviously I've created several sites, but your SharePoint environment or SharePoint dashboard will be empty. So how do you create your first site? What you got to do is you got to go to the top left corner here and then click on Create Site. And then you're going to be presented with two different site types. So one is a team site, the other one's a communication site. In a nutshell, team site is your best bet for collaboration. Communications is more, think of it like a portal. Say, for example, your team site, you're working on the document. Once the document's finalized, communication site, you can post it on there and then people in the organization can consume it as information that you're disseminating. So team site, working, communications, final product that you want everyone to see. All right, so we can click on team site and then we'll have a bunch of templates here. And you could even go back here, click on this and same pretty much templates. You do have the standard communication one, Brand Central, things like that. So what we can do is we'll create a team site first, and let's use employee onboarding. And so here you're going to see it shows some capabilities, what's included in the team site, things like that. And this is what it's going to look like when you create it. So once again, if we go back here, choose another one, again, it'll show us what it'll look like. It'll show us capabilities, things like that. So let's continue with the employee one. Click use template, call it a name. So let's call it HR boarding site. It'll check to see if the site's available or the name's available. Looks good. And then we can put a description. It's going to give us an email address that we can use for emails that would go to this site, things like that, or for this site. And then of course we have our site address. And then we click next. We can then make this site private or public. Difference is private obviously means that only members can see it versus public, anyone in the organization will be able to see it. And then of course we can choose our language. So we'll keep it as private. It is HR stuff, and of course. And then here we can create or add new members or just leave it blank for now. But as you can see in the corner, it's creating the site basically for us. So it's pretty fast. I'm a SharePoint architect. I've been doing this for a lot of years. And so I remember back in the days, this would take forever to create a site. So it's pretty cool that it's pretty fluid and it creates it fairly quickly these days. In fact, that's probably the longest I've ever seen it create a site in a long time. So let's click finish. And then here we are. This is our site. Pretty cool. We have next steps, so we can follow some of these next steps, things like that. And then this is ultimately our new site. Pretty neat, huh? Okay, so let's go back and let's create a communication site. Why not? So once again, Waffle, SharePoint, create site, and now we're going to do communication site. And so let's do a crisis. Yeah, let's do a crisis management site. Now let's do a learning central site. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll do this one. So again, communication site. Main essence here is we're disseminating information. Again, not necessarily working on documents, but once again, you can do whatever you want. If you want to use a communication site to work on documents similar to a team site, you can do that as well. So we're going to use this site and we'll call it LMS. And then it's checking. And then we have the site design, description. And as you can see, it has less options here for the details for this particular site. And then we'll click next and then English and then create site. And so in a couple of minutes, we're going to have our communication site. And so it's again, these are just suggestions of how to use these sites. You could do whatever you want. It's all pretty much SharePoint in the background. But yeah, so as you can see with the communication site, it's a little bit more colorful and a little bit more engaging. And so the idea is these are kind of hero dialog boxes or images that you can click on and you can configure them where people can click on them and get to other things and things like that. And then if we go back here, You can see this is more geared towards information, documents, things like that, versus the communication site. It's more just click here, get access to this, click here, get access to this, right? As opposed to really collaborating and getting into documents and things like that. Okay, like here we have the documents. So that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to show, how to create a site, and we did it. We created two sites, one that was for Teams and collaboration, and one for communications. All right, thank you, and see you in the next video.